Hello, amazing boss ladies and gentlemen across the world. I just want to say thank you for tuning into our legendary Boss Ladies Summit with your wonderful host, Edward Zier. Great to have you all with us. I'm just here a little bit early before our panelists come in. I was going to say it is so amazing to have you with us, and I hope you're well. Hope you're all winning big. Now, it's such a pleasure to be here, my friend. I'm going to say that you're all very, very amazing. And the Boss Ladies Summit is totally very cool. Now, we've got a few boss ladies coming today. A lot of them are tied up today, but hopefully they're not too far off. But as you know, if you tune into the Boss Ladies Summit with Edward Zier, you get a legendary monologue with Edward Zier. So I was actually making this funny comment last time. But now I know not everyone's into Piers Morgan, but Piers Morgan is this not really right. It's actually more of a left wing, but sort of commentator from the UK that I'm actually a huge fan of. And I know it's not wrong. But he defends women all that all the time. And I kind of feel like when it's just me here, it's going to be just me monologuing to you. So I just want to say thank you for coming in. Really appreciate you, winners. I am just jumping right now on LinkedIn. One thing I love about the whole LinkedIn Live thing is it looks amazing from mobile phones. So I'm actually just jumping in right now and just seeing what is absolutely happening. And welcome, everyone. Great having you with us. Welcome to the Boss Ladies. Oh, my God, we've got the whole gang. We've got, oh, my God, everyone's in here already. It's just a pleasure. Amy Hammond. We've got Lassie watching. We've got the whole gang. So it's a big welcome. Now, this topic that we're going to talk about is healthy, wealthy, and wise. And it's a topic that's very, very close to my heart. I'll explain to you why. All right? Is that if you want to be effective in life, or let alone an effective boss lady, you need to be very healthy, wealthy, and wise. And I think it's very, very important, actually, because that is how you win big. And I'm going to say we've got our first panelist who's come in to really set up this topic. We have got the amazing Simone Lord. How are you, Simone Lord?
Good morning, Ed. I'm well, thanks. Never better than to be on live at 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
And it looks like as I started off the live and it was just me, and I said I think I'm going to go Piers Morgan and just rant for an hour, but now it's going to look like it could be a show of just you and me, Simone Lord, talking about empowerment.
Well, this is deja vu, right? We did this a couple of months back too.
It was kind of funny. There was one where it was just you and me. Then next time 9 of the panelists showed up, then so there you go. I think it alternates. Everyone shows up, then they disappear. But you're the consistent one that I love, Simone Lord.
Thank you, Ed. It's all about showing up, right? We had a big conversation on that the other day.
Now, what a great place to start. And I think Simone Lord, you've sliced the pie in a beautiful way, because this topic we're talking about is healthy, wealthy, and wise. And I think showing up is one of the most key things you can do. Let's start by talking about showing up and your thoughts on being healthy, wealthy, and wise. Over to you, Simone Lord. Feel free to monologue.
Well, I guess it's all about your priorities, right? And what's really important to you. And there's no doubt that there's a hard balance to find. It is tricky between what you are committed to, both personally, both professionally, and where you feel the line is drawn in how that affects your personal health as well, because sometimes it is about sacrifices. And that's something that I'm realizing at the moment. You know, I've constantly talked about having my own business, and I work full time, and I've got 3 kids, and it is a huge balance. And I've noticed over the last couple of months that it's a little bit to a detriment of my own health. So I need to sort of understand whether I'm willing to make the sacrifice for what I want in my physical goals of my personal well-being to keep going with all of the workload that I have.
Yeah. And it's so true, because I don't think anyone watching, and thank you for watching, by the way. If you come in, just smash that like, share, and comment. We love you, boss ladies, where we talk monthly about empowerment. And interestingly, and feel free to say hello as well. And just a few hellos. We've got Amanda Tremlett with us. Amanda, love your work. Fern Walcott, welcome. Welcome, everyone. And we, of course, got Amy Hammond, and I'm just keeping an eye on my phone here, so welcome. Now, it's funny, actually, because the whole showing up, right? Now, anyone can only think, you don't have to be Elon Musk to know that you need to show up in order to succeed. If you're going to be fit, you got to walk every day, go to the gym every day, or whatever. But I find that you're right. What if there's this whole, you got to be consistent and stick at it, and you got to be a high achiever, and you got to be a strong, powerful woman and all that, a strong, powerful person in my case, right? But the other side is looking after yourself. When you get sick, what happens? I don't think anyone ever talks about that, Simone. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that is an area, and sometimes it's not about our physical well-being. A lot of the time it is actually about our mental well-being and that ability to switch off, to be able to relax. If you're a high achiever, if you're someone who has a very busy life, it's the mental load that can somewhat be more detrimental than the physical load that you may carry. And that's tricky because people can't see that. So
Mhm.
unless you have your own self-awareness to go, wow, I think I need some help here, or I need to reflect on some stuff in my life. It's easy to go way down and then go, how did I get here? This is scary.
It's funny to say that there's this meme, like sort of a positive meme, not a making fun of someone meme, but this meme going around on LinkedIn. And I somewhat agree with it and someone did it, but it made a good point. It had I think you might have even shared it actually, it's a while ago, but you had this person who was sitting there crying after tripping over, and
Mm,
this other person pointing at them saying, "Get up." And then it had on the person falling over this invisible bubble of all the trauma they're carrying through in their life, like
yeah.
the kids, the divorce, the money, and all that. And basically, the point of the meme or the image was, be kind to people. You don't know what they're carrying. And I think you're right, because you can look someone that's physically fine. In fact, here's a bit of a dark one, actually. This is a bit of a dark example, but many, many
Mm,
years ago, my mum was a cop, very long time ago, very, very long time ago in Victoria. She was a cop. And this famous actual property investor committed suicide, and no one saw it coming. And she actually was one of the people to investigate it. And long story short, this person was fine on the surface, but just had an underlying issue that never got treated. And one day they ended it all. And you're right. I think emotionally you can't see what's going on with people. It's so easy to make judgments. And I think that graphic was all about, hang on, you just can't judge people. You got to sort of be more mindful. I hear where you're going, Simone. Very savvy.
yeah. And this plays out in so many areas of our lives to, seeing a mum with a screaming toddler in the shopping center and thinking, oh gosh, can't you just control your kid? To thinking about what the mental load that she's carrying or what she may be going through. She probably hasn't slept for a month or something like that. It's removing judgment towards
Yeah.
people's physical and emotional well-being. And I think we are too quick to judge,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to appearance, where someone may be really overweight and you think, oh, how do they let themselves get to that? Or why are they, not getting healthier and looking after themselves? You have no idea what kind of medical conditions they may be facing and all of these sorts of situations. So sometimes just taking a step back and reflecting, and a lot of time it's actually a self projection. So the things you're saying and the judgments that you're having, it's like pull up the mirror and have a look at yourself.
Yeah. Now, projection. Now, I like to say it's not my middle name anymore, but I reckon easily 20 years ago, projection was my middle name, right? So I would blame everyone for what I was guilty of, right? I was like, no one. I think I had a PhD. I had a double PhD. I was a professor in projection, right? Basically, I'm doing this wrong. Anyway, I looked in the mirror one day and saw the error of my ways, right? But I remember, I think you're right. I think it's the whole societal thing, because and I want to pick on the whole strong, independent woman, because obviously we're talking in the context of women's empowerment. And I've actually been having this chat with a lot of women lately about the whole strong, independent woman concept, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm all for the strong, independent woman, but there's this darker side that's come to the surface of it, in terms of you've had all these strong, independent women tip over. They're now in their 40s, they're getting lonely. They don't have partners. They're actually coming out and putting videos on YouTube saying, I've done the whole strong, independent woman thing, and don't do it. My life is, yeah, I've got a great career and all that, but overall my life sucks. What do you think of this whole strong, independent woman concept? Because a lot of women are coming out and saying it's not as rosy as it sounds.
Yeah. I think it comes back to the balance again, right? You can be a strong, independent woman between the 9 to 5 and just have that in your work career or in your business if that's what you really need. And in the weekends or, when you take holidays and things like that, you could be really moving into just relaxing and nurturing. And, there are different times and places for different phases of who you feel in that moment. And you don't have to be that strong, independent woman all the time. You'll see that with me online. I come across very
Mm.
strong and independent, and I'm doing so many things. But when it comes to the downtime with my kids, I am very nurturing. I am actually quite introvert. So there's different times, and that's how I manage the energy in each of those situations.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think with the whole strong independent woman concept, um, some people have just taken it too far and it's become, I think being strong and independent is awesome. I'm the first guy to say you should be that, right? You should be that. But I think people have taken it too far. And again, in the context of relationships, and again, I know this is obviously a bit of a taboo topic, but we're here to talk about the truth and help people, not be PC, right? Albeit I love LinkedIn, and please don't cancel my LinkedIn account. We love you, Microsoft, right?
Oh, yeah.
We've got Amanda Tremlett with it. Yeah, Amanda Tremlett says, totally agree, Simone. Yes. And Fern Walcott, great seeing you, Fern. Fern says, yes, wear different hats. Absolutely. And I think actually Fern and Amanda said it well. It's a whole different hat thing. I think when the whole strong independent woman concept becomes toxic is people just take it too far. It's sort of like, well, hang on, I've got to be strong and independent anywhere, which means I can't be in a relationship, so I've got to be strong and independent. And what we're seeing now is when these poor women hit 40, all their friends go off and get married and have kids and has husbands or whatever. They're the ones who are now getting lonely and becoming sad. And I hate to say it, I speak to these type of women all the time who are saying, I took this whole strong independent thing too far. And I think you're right. We need different hats. Otherwise, what can work in one area can mess up our life in another area.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that you need to be a different person. Now, there's a huge conversation in just the different hats conversation, right? You don't have to change who you are. You don't have to be someone else in these moments, but it's about shifting your energy from having to always be that strong, independent person who's pushing to just sitting back and changing into a different sort of, just a mindset.
Oh, I'm with you. And Amanda Tremlett, we love you. Amanda Tremlett just says, we'll learn through vulnerability. I agree. And here we are being, and shout out to Amanda Tremlett. Amanda Tremlett's one of our wonderful friends. She's amazing. So we love you, Amanda. If you just come in, please smash that like, share, and comment. And I'll just say this as funny humor. With the Boss Ladies Summit, sometimes we have like all 10 panelists here and it's crazy. And sometimes just Simone and I running the show, basically doing
Maybe you should put us on a roster, Ed, so we know which months are we going to be chatting with Ed.
There you go. So it's just it's the Boss Ladies. So we switch it. We interview powerful ladies for an hour. There you go. That's a new concept. We might do that. Who knows? Who knows? Now I was just going to say as well. Oh my God, we got Lana Burgess with us. We love you, Lana Burgess. And guess what? We've got Christina Nava who's just come in. Let's just say hello to a quick Christina Nava. Christina, hello, welcome. We are live. Oh no, Christina PC just died. We had her for 1 second, but I'm sure Christina will be back. Now I was going to say, right, we're having this conversation the other day, and I'll just talk about LinkedIn for the moment, right? Just obviously LinkedIn guy. We're talking about the whole concept of consistency and being successful and that type of thing. And from a LinkedIn point of view, to be successful on LinkedIn, you got to post at least once a day, right? You got to be messaging people every day. And we had this great conversation the other day, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about the whole wealthy consistency topic, especially in the context of LinkedIn and posting and that type of thing?
Yeah, well, I think social media in general is an area that people struggle with to understand and find the right avenue that is with you. So you really need to understand the fundamentals of who you need to be reaching out to, who is the right people for you, and producing content that is relevant. And then when you're consistent with that, that's when your ideal clients are going to start just coming to you and being like, oh, you totally spoke to me in that video or in that post that you did the other day. So it's about, I think it's a mixture of showing both who you are as a person and also what you do as a business. So you're being relatable to people, and then just consistency, like you said. And what works for some doesn't work for others. Like I know, Ed, how many times a day do you post? 10 times or something crazy? I don't know.
Now, I don't recommend this very much. I actually posted, and we got Christina Nava with us. Christina's coming in shortly. Christina's getting set up. One time I posted, not counting shares, 15 times in a day. I was traveling. I just posted 15 times that day on LinkedIn.
Yeah. The idea of that actually makes me feel overwhelmed. So I know we've had this conversation many times as well. If once a day is the most that I feel comfortable with doing, go with that. If there's an opportunity to post maybe twice a day, if something else pops up, and I know you're really big on this because we come in this world of planning and we want everything to be perfect, and we're spending 45 minutes writing a post or something like that, and we want to have it scheduled for the month, where you are just literally flying by, just going and documenting your life, which is pretty cool in doing that, because you're relating to people in those moments all the time, which is really great. So I think just knowing what the schedule is and having a bit of a plan to execute on, which goes, okay, I'm going to post at least once a day. And then if something comes up on the fly, post as an extra. And then, you never know where that will lead you. And for me, that makes me feel comfortable with the situation and go, okay, yeah, I can manage that. And it's not the pressure of having to do something multiple times a day.
Oh, beautiful. Now we've got Christina Nava with us. We're going to try again. Let's try and get Christina in. Christina, can you hear and see us all right? How you doing, Christina?
I can. Thank you so much. Apologies for the little mishap just a moment ago. But thank you so much, Ed. Thank you. Hi, Simone.
Hi, great to see you.
Thank you so much.
We're just saying for Christine, the audience, there's this running joke with Boss Ladies Summit. Sometimes we'll get 10 panelists here and it'll be like this big actual summit. And then one time it's just Edward monologuing to the camera, Piers Morgan style, and then Simone shows up. So Christina, it's so good to have you with us. And Christina, just to let you know, we've got a great audience with us today. We've got Faisy with us. If you just come in, like, share, and comment. Now, Christina Nava is an amazing business leader from the West Coast of America, top lady. Christina, we're talking about healthy, wealthy, and wise. I'd just love to hear what you think about this whole topic. Please monologue and take it away, Christina Nava.
Healthy, wealthy, and wise. So I guess number one, we absolutely need our health. That's the most important thing. And I know Simone is quite adamant about fitness, and I can't claim that as my number one. I should do more of that. But I did hear what you guys were talking about just a few moments ago about not knowing what somebody's going through in their life, and I kind of just I thought that was pretty interesting, topic that you were discussing. So health, wealth, and wise. Yeah, I really don't know what I have to say about that.
I'll make it easy for you. And Simone Law brought this one up, and to give some context, and this is the whole high achiever thing, right? Because when you're doing the whole high achiever thing, it can be very easy, and I've made this mistake and it's wrong. It's very easy to judge other people saying, well, hang on, I get up at 5 a.m. every day and go to the gym. Why don't you? That whole sort of, I'm achieving judgment logic, which I've been guilty of, which is bad. Now, the thing I think I want to ask you about, Christina Nava, I know you're very, very good at this topic, is the emotional baggage we carry, the trauma we carry. Like on the surface, we might look awesome, but mentally we're carrying all the stuff that's like, 1,000 pounds on our back. Tell us about those hidden traumas and that we carry and how it impacts our health, Christina, because I know you're a pro on this one.
I am a pro on this one. Thank you so much. And I don't want to be a pro at this all my life, but yeah, a lot of baggage. I have a lot of baggage, definitely. But I think just showing up and being consistent and all of the things that I need to kind of get more into the groove at the moment. I know I've been inconsistent, but those are really important things, showing up, being there, and keeping all of our toxic energy at home if we can, and just being our best selves is most important.
Oh, and you said my favorite word, the T word. What's the T word, Simone? What's Edward's favorite word on a Boss Lady Summit, Simone? It starts with T. So I was waiting for it. Toxic, yeah. The moment someone says toxic, this show goes in a darker, funnier direction. So there's my favorite word. And just a quick one, I got Lana Burgess with us. Lana, if you can see me waving at you, you are in the live correctly. And I've got a few shares actually. Faisy Grieve says this. We love you, Faisy. I think it's also very important to have a healthy mind just as well as a healthy body. Exactly. Now, Christina Nava, I want to ask you this question, right? Toxic, you brought it up. I didn't. I love the word toxic. And this is a huge problem for everyone, especially a lot of women. How do you manage toxic people in our lives? Like, toxic people are everywhere. How do we deal with them, Christina? What do you think before I hit Simone up with that question?
I think not to internalize, people have their own problems. Not everybody in the world is going to like you. I can promise you that. But, there's a lot of people that just may not. But if you are well within yourself and at peace, I think that makes a huge difference in your overall well-being and things like that.
Oh, beautiful. We'll bounce back to Simone Law. Simone Law, toxic people. I love this topic. There's toxic people. They take our wealth, our funding, they make us dumber. Tell us what you think about toxic people, Simone Lord.
It's all about boundaries. That's what I feel, whether that's in a personal context or a work environment, or even the clients you choose to work with. Know your values, know what's important to you, and don't compromise on that. If you've got someone who's a client who, doesn't align, and you don't feel good when you're working with them, that is a toxic person in your life. If that's a family member, it's the same thing. It's a little bit more tricky. And I've spoken about this before. I don't have a relationship with my brother because of the toxic environment we're in. It's been over 2 years since we've spoken, which is very hard for other family members, but I stay true to my values and what I believe in as a person, because at the end of the day, toxic people do affect your emotional well-being. They are instilling things that you will have to undo later on, because it does affect you both emotionally and physically. Because when we are storing these things, and this is kind of going down a holistic health avenue right here, and this is a whole conversation in itself, but storing emotions and blocking things in that way, it starts to manifest into physical things. So it's about who you surround yourself with, who you are getting to guide and support you. And there's so many people within Ed's community as well. And I'm going to give a quick shout out to my dear friend Sean Tucker, who I think is amazing in helping people, and Karim Bokta, who is also fantastic in working through these things to help you emotionally to get past all the toxicity in your life.
Brilliant. Now, stored trauma, great topic. I've actually been diving into this because now we've all got a lot of stored trauma. I've gotten rid of a lot of my stored trauma lately. So let's say I was a massive cargo ship of stored trauma. Now I'm a yacht full of stored trauma. So the ship of my trauma is getting smaller.
The work is never done, Ed. Let me just say, the work is never done. And even if it's something that you're just dealing with this, or if you believe in past lifetimes and stuff like that, it's kind of like fitness, right? There's never an end journey. You just need to the goals will change, the destination will change, but the idea that you just get somewhere and then you stop, it doesn't exist. And I think that's with business, that's with your health, that's with your wealth, that's with learning the lessons and being wise, right? So I kind of see this in a big circle: healthy, wealthy, wise. And you're consistently reviewing what's working with you. You know, you're in a good place, you start making good money, and then all of a sudden something starts to slip, and then you learn the lesson from that, and you're like, okay, how do I improve my health? How do I improve my wealth? And then I'm going to learn, and I'll get wiser and wiser. It's a wheel for me.
Oh, brilliant. Now, thank you, Simone Lord, and Faisy loves it. Christina Nava, I can see you thinking a million miles an hour. What are your reactions and thoughts on that one, Christina?
Can you see that? That's interesting, because I do. I'm always thinking a million miles a minute. But yeah, interesting. I learned something a while ago, and it stuck with me. We teach others how to treat us by what we tolerate. So essentially, I mean, it's just exactly what it says. I mean, we teach others how to treat us. If we tolerate a certain amount of toxicity, then that's how that person will continue treating you. So,
and it's funny, I'm being a parent myself. I've found that my kids are getting older, right? And I can sort of see their reactions. I can see how they're drawing out negative and positive traits. And you're right, because my son said something funny to me yesterday. He loves sitting on the couch. He loves watching stuff on YouTube on our big TV. And I said to him the other day, I love you, son. And he goes, I love you, Daddy, but please stay away from me. I'm watching YouTube. Right?
Yeah.
He's a 4-year-old with a very, very clear. I thought his boundaries are very good. He's very much, Daddy, I think you're awesome and I love you, but don't you come near me right now. I'm busy. And
yeah.
You are right. I think you're right. It's the way that we behave. People pick up on that, be it our kids, our friends, or even toxic people. And I think you're right. I think, especially in the context of toxic people, if they can see that you have weak boundaries, they're kind of hyenas that take a shot at it. If they see you have strong boundaries that back off, what do you think on that one, Christina?
I think that's absolutely right. I think toxic people prey on our weaknesses. And I spend a lifetime people pleasing and allowing, people pleaser to the core, but learning a whole new way of life. And it's fun and it's exciting, and it's actually exciting learning new ways to go about life. I appreciate it.
Oh, and people pleasing. Oh, I love it, Tom. I used to be the worst people pleaser. I've actually, probably in my mid-20s, I sort of broke the whole people pleasing thing. But I was a bit of a people pleaser there. I want to ask Christina this and Simone this question. Why do we become people pleasers? Where do you think it comes from?
Well, for me, I mean, I have two sisters and we are all completely inherently different. So I don't know if upbringing could play a part in that. I think it just comes from your own individual spirit, I think. I don't know. For me, I want everyone, I'm a peacemaker. I want everyone around me to be happy and essentially that's it for me. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the answer to that.
Oh, good one. That means we have to hit Simone Lord with that question. People pleasing. Where does it come from, Simone Lord?
Well, I believe it's a mixture of both. I think it is your environment that you grew up with, the people you're around, and the circumstances of your family, which develop you into feeling that you need to offer a peacemaking or a solution-based approach. A lot of it can come from generational things as well as your culture. There's a mixture of different things. It can just be, you personally wanting to please can come down to your insecurities of who you are as a person, how you feel judged. There's a lot of different areas. It's not really an easy question to answer.
Yeah. No, I think my own people pleasing actually got a good comment as well from Faisy Greaves. We love you, Faisy. Faisy says this from our parental programming, definitely a factor. I think my people pleasing, I got rid of a lot of it in my mid-20s, right? And in my 30s. When I was sort of like 31, 30, after I was a homeless veteran, my people pleasing was very gone. It felt good, right? But the thing I found is my people pleasing, I think, came from my insecurities. I felt insecure. I felt lonely. I needed friends. I always wanted to please people so they'd approve of me and I feel good and all that. And got a great one from Amanda Tremlett. We love you, Amanda Tremlett. Amanda Tremlett just says, mine came from bullying when I was younger. Oh, the B word, the toxic. I love the B word, bullying. Great. Let's talk about bullies. That's awesome. I have a bunch of words and I don't talk about it until someone says it. So bullying, let's talk about bullying. Good old-fashioned bullying, right? Bullies are everywhere, especially in the context of being an empowered, powerful lady. How do we deal with bullies? I'm just going to throw that question at the legend. Oh, no, Christina's got kids. Let's throw that question at you first, Simone Lord.
Yeah.
Simone Lord, how do we deal with bullies? Tell us all about it.
I think you need to be aware first that you're actually being bullied, because sometimes it's not as forefront as knowing you're being bullied if you think of it in the schoolyard sort of context. A lot of the time you don't actually realize that you are being bullied when you're being, I guess you could use the word influenced by people around you, and you don't actually perceive this as bullying, or it's the snide comments and things that kind of just get brushed off. So I think understanding really what bullying means to you, and everyone internalizes that differently based on who you are as a person and your strengths and your confidence and all of those sorts of things. So step one is really the awareness of it, and then calling it out, being really specific, being brave enough to say like, hey, that's not acceptable, or don't like it when you say that or when you do that. And you need to break that behavior. You need to stop the cycle, because there's a lot of evidence and a lot of conversations now that people who bully actually don't realize that they're being a bully. Even though they're doing those behaviors and the wrong thing, there's a lot of times where they're not even aware that is what they're projecting or how they're making other people feel. So it's a two-sided coin there.
Oh, fascinating. Christina, now, but tell us all about bullying. Tell us what you think of the topic.
Yes. So I just don't partake. And, if you give into communication or, dialogue such as this, you're just asking for more trouble. But like Simone said, just calling it out, you don't have time. We don't have time for things like that. There's much more productive things in the world. And it essentially comes from that individual. In my opinion, it comes from that individual's own self-worth, that they feel a need to bully or put others down or whatever it may be.
Yeah, fascinating. And Amanda Tremlett made a good point. Often it's because they have their own securities. Absolutely. And I remember, and this is something that, this is a trait of mine that I don't like, by the way, right? So what happens is to me, toxic people and bullies are like a drug to me, right? So one time whenever I'm in a very toxic workplace, I enter this, I'll out toxic people, right? So a very dark trait of mine. So for me walking into a toxic workplace is like someone with a gambling problem walking to the casino. They shouldn't be there, right? So whenever I've been in toxic workplaces, if someone's toxic to me, I'd be double as toxic back to them, and I'd rule the roost in no time, right? And I realize I'm becoming someone I don't want to be, right? I've done that before. Now I want to ask about, we've spoken about topics of bullying and people and that sort of thing. My next question is, what are the people we need to be healthy, wealthy, and wise? So I'm going to go to Simone Lord and then Christina. What are the top traits you feel we need to be healthy, wealthy, and live in life? Simone Lord, what are the top traits?
I'm going to come back to the awareness again, because health means something different to us all. So does wealth, and so does wisdom. So it's really understanding what you want. And when you know what you want, then you can create a plan to make it happen. So that's how you're kind of going to get on the journey of what that is, to find the gaps.
Oh, Christina, now what are the traits we need to be healthy, wealthy, and wise?
Well, for me personally, it's just gaining a love of self, and really learning about myself and my capabilities and what I have to offer. And when I've developed a passion for helping autistic families and things like that due to my own child, it kind of just throws everything else off the map. Because when you're passionate and you love something, you have so much emotion or ambition towards something, you just it kind of wipes out everything else. But of course, there's going to be triumphs and downfalls along the way, and we just learn. You have to learn. You can't crawl in a hole. You can't be you can't go hide, but you just learn from your mistakes. Mistakes are beautiful because you learn so much from them.
Oh, wish I'd met you 20 years ago, Christina Nava. So this brings me to the next point, right? And I get asked this by especially a lot of, and I say this with tragedy and won't help. So on a funny note, I hang out with women all day, right? You're going to laugh at all this. So it's the majority of our clients are women. I work from home and often do school drop-offs. I talk to women all day, like especially school drop-offs and all that. And a lot of women I talk to, right, and I know a lot of women listening would agree with this, is that a lot of them, they're not clear on their passions, right? And one of my friends actually, mum with kids, she's in her 40s now, and she's like, I'm in a job I don't want. I'm in a life I don't want. I want to change. Where do I begin, right? So I want to ask Simone Lord and Christina this. How do we identify our passions? Like, let's say we're a bit lost in life. How do we identify our passions and know how to take our life in the direction we want? Simone Lord, what do you think?
It's really about taking a moment to pause and stopping the hustle to find out what you truly want and what that means to you. And it's okay to change. I think we have this perception that if we've become successful in some way of our lives, and this was early on in my career when I was working up the corporate finance ladder, and I realized that I just really didn't like that anymore. And when I wanted to change and get into the fitness industry, and being okay with that, like it's all right to stop and go to the bottom and start again. Acceptance of that and knowing what you're passionate about, it helps, but that you don't always know what you want. So it's about experiencing different things until you find the right thing that feels good for you.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's the whole concept of failure, right? And this is what one of my friends in particular is really going through, is that, her life is not where she wants it to be, but she's successful in where she is. At least people think that. She's like, well, hang on, to pursue the life that I want, I'm going to have to, in a way, fail and create a big change. I've been saying to her, you're not failing. You're really rebooting and starting again. And that brings me to Christina Nava. Christina, how do we find our passions and really explore that? What's your take on that one, Christina?
Well, I think in particular, the moms you're speaking of at pickup time, we get put into a mold. We get put into a box as mothers of what people expect us to be and what a mother is thought to be. But you have to find something in your life. What is it that brings you the greatest joy? Whether it be your children, you just find something that brings you a lot of joy, and you build off that, whatever that may be. That's would be my advice.
And it's an interesting topic, Christina. And I was going to ask you another follow-up question on that one, Christina. We've had this chat one-on-one, right? And Simone is obviously doing some cool work right now. Let's say you're in life, right? You're in your life. Things aren't going your way, and you haven't quite unpacked your passions. What do you say, Christina, to people, anyone watching who's stuck in their life and they're not walking the path that they want? What do you say to people who are really stuck and not sure what to do?
Well, I think you really need to dig down into your own soul and figure out and do some soul searching. You know, you're going to have to spend some time alone and not, like Simone said, get away from the hustle bustle and not listen to, a lot of times, so many things are put into our ears that we believe what other people tell us we are. And that is not what we are, not necessarily, it might be, but it might not be. But, really do some soul searching. For me, God, and just walking, with the Lord. And I think that is the biggest motivator. And that for me, my faith, it's really important. So things like that, Ed, I think those are basically, what I can think of.
Oh, I love where you're going. Now, I just want to say, if you've just tuned in, thank you for checking in our Boss Ladies Summit. We're talking about healthy, wealthy, and wise. If you've got any questions or thoughts, pop them in the chat because we'd love to hear it. Now, Christina, I want to ask you about the whole topic of wealth, right? Now, wealth, often, and in fact, before I open my mouth and bias the conversation, how do you define wealth? What does wealth mean to you, Christina?
Well, it's certainly not what I thought it was 20 years ago because, absolutely. Wealth to one person certainly looks a lot different to another person because right now I'm in a pivotal point in my life where I'm not displaying enormous amounts of wealth, but I'm going through a pivotal change. So like Simone said, sometimes we have to go to the bottom to get where we want to be. And I'm learning a whole lot. And I realized I was very spoiled, and had everything in the world, but I was extremely, extremely unhappy. I wanted for nothing. And that's not always the best, that's not always, it's not always what it's cracked up to be, honestly. If right now I'm gaining freedom and just being with my children and learning so much, and I'm happy. I'm really, truly happy.
Oh, I love it. And we got Simone back. And it's funny you've said the F word, and I don't mean profanity, the F word being freedom. So what I do, and Simone knows my tricks, I've been doing this for a long time, I have a bunch of words in my mind, and I don't talk about it until someone brings it up. But you brought up the F word being freedom, which is fantastic, right? Now, that's actually one of my values. To me, being free is very, very important, like having a sense of freedom, doing what I feel like I want to do in life. And we'll bounce over to Simone Lord. Simone Lord, tell us all about freedom and what it means to you.
Yeah, I think, again, this is so subjective because it's different to us all, right? What we consider to be freedom and how you find that and how you define that is taking moments to sit back and really think about what do you want out of your life? What actually makes you happy? What is that? And being okay that just pivots and changes. And I feel like that's what I've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years. I was unhappy in my corporate job. Fitness was such a fun outlet for me. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to start a fitness business and get into the health space. And then an opportunity came to become back into the business world. I was like, that's what I really love too. So then doing everything and then realizing, wow, this is a little bit too much. Something needs to give, and readjusting and reprioritizing on what does freedom actually look like for me and where does that come from. It can come from multiple sources. It doesn't just have to be one thing. You don't have to go all in on one thing, and there'll be different times and spaces, especially if you want to start your own business or something like that, where you do have to balance doing both. Something you may not really like holding on to your job that you're not really happy with, so you can build this up a little bit more on the side and then move into the freedom that you want as well. Sometimes just jumping straight off the plank is not the best idea, although it feels like the ultimate freedom. It often doesn't work out that way.
Oh, brilliant. And a few shares. We've got a great comment from Fern Walcott. Fern Walcott says time currency. Absolutely, absolutely. Time currency. Time is a form of currency that you don't get it back. And Amanda Tremlett made a good point. Wealth for me is enough money to pay the bills and enjoy a few nice things. But more importantly, it's being surrounded by doing the things that I love. So let's bounce back to Christina Nava. Christina, tell me what you think freedom means to you. Give us some context on freedom.
Well, so many years there's the baggage, there's the toxicity. We had what is it called? Financial bondage, where somebody is in control of everything, or control of your destinations or your time or what you do. And to have somebody not on my back, on my shoulder, that is freedom to me. Just being me and living life.
Financial bondage, amazing topic. We've actually had this chat lately, and they've actually changed. Talking Australia, we're obviously in the southern hemisphere. Simone and I, especially in Australia, there's been a lot of changes talking about financial abuse in relationships, where basically, you have the battered woman being controlled by the abusive husband, and they're doing it not through hitting him in the head in a traditional sense, by controlling the money. Tell us a bit more about financial bondage, Christina, because it's the elephant in the room that no one ever talks about. Love to hear more of your thoughts on that one.
Well, that's just it. Financial bondage is essentially just not being allowed your own financial freedom. You just have a certain amount of money, and if you don't do what that person wants, then they withhold the money, or whatnot. It's not a beautiful place to be by any means.
Crazy. Love your rawness, Christina. Amazing. Simone Lord, tell us about financial bondage and what it can mean in some context in that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time, and I know this here in Australia is something I think we could do better about in educating people and kids in school on financial awareness and where that comes from. A lot of us learn from what our parents have done and experienced. So I was fortunate enough that my mum didn't really have to work when I was younger. So, but in saying that, then my dad was the breadwinner, and whatever terminology you want to use about that, sort of having the financial card over the family, because he was the one bringing in all the income. So there's, many people that you'll see out there who may feel like, we're talking about this at the beginning of the show, of just that having to be that real driven, successful woman, because they want to break free of, my mum wasn't empowered with any financial choice or decisions and things like that. So sometimes those types of things can start to play out in why you're so driven in a masculine kind of way, for that business success, because you watched perhaps your mother or your grandmother not have a career, not have any financial independence and those sorts of things. So you may not even be consciously aware of that, but that's the kind of things that happen through growing up. So I've always found that it's good to have a balance, and you work within your partner with whatever's happening, or even if you're single, in what you're doing at that time. My husband and I seem to have like a career switch every 10 or so years, where he went off to police academy, and that was unpaid. So I supported him for 7 months while he was getting trained up to be an officer.
You don't get paid in the police academy.
No, you can apply for scholarships, but we didn't, because we didn't have children and those sorts of things. We actually didn't qualify. So I supported him financially so he could change his career side. Then when I wanted to get out of corporate and start my own business, it was the role flip reversal of those sorts of things. So money is such a big topic in itself, in how you manage it, how you feel comfortable within it, within your own self, within your partner and your dynamics, and how you ultimately teach your kids what that's all about as well. Yeah, it's interesting.
On a funny tangent, when I first joined the army, I can't remember the amount. Someone will probably pick me up on this, but I remember it was getting paid. It was like $31.50 a day. It's like $32 a day. So when I joined the army and I was doing my recruit training, before I became an army engineer, I was being paid $32 a day, and they guilt trip you every day on it. So what they do is they guilt trip you on saying, and that would, because we're, again, context, we're in Australia, so they always talk about the Queen at the time, right? So they would say the Queen, because we're British monarchy. Let's say, We, the Australian government and the Queen, we're feeding you, we're training you, we're clothing you, we're giving you $32 a day. And they'd make us do like 32 push-ups. Like they would actually say, you have to do a push-up for every dollar we're giving you, plus you have to do a push-up for the Queen as well. And I remember that was quite funny. It's not like it was like $32, I remember. It was 25 years ago. It was quite funny. So there you go. But I can't believe he's not getting paid to do recruit training as a cop. I don't know.
I don't know if it's changed. That was 13 years ago. I don't know if it's anything different now, but that's how it was at the time. Yeah. And
At least
that's hard to sort of grasp as well, that your partner is supporting you to change career and do those sorts of things. So it's always good just to talk about things if you're not comfortable on those sorts of things. Have a conversation about it, because that's how the change starts, by saying, hey, this is how I feel about this.
I love it. Just to let you know, everyone, as well. We've got 15 minutes left, or less than 15 minutes. Got a great share from Faisy Greaves, and Faisy said, "Wealth for me is love for my family, amazing people, happiness from within, loving who you are, and passion in your life and financial freedom too." So, friends, we're going to start winding things up, and we're going to spend a bit of time talking about what Christina and Simone Lord do as well, professionally as well. But before we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to hear some wonderful closing thoughts from Christina Navra and Simone Lord. Then we're going to talk about a bit about what they do for a living and how they can help people in the world. So I want to bounce over to you, Christina, for a few minutes. We've talked about healthy, wealthy, and wise. Is there anything else you'd love to share, or any topics on your mind that really, really stand out to you in the context of being healthy, wealthy, and wise, and women's empowerment?
Well, I think just learning, life is constantly learning. We need to learn as much as we can to grow and develop ourselves, and, helping others. You get what you give. So giving to others is really, really important. Something I learned along the way, and I just fundamentally do, because that's my nature. I think we find great joy in giving to others, and wealth, it is whatever, it feels to you. Wealth looks different for everybody, but those are really the only topic, or the only comments I have at this time, Ed, about that subject. Yeah.
I remember, on a funny note, there was this one point in my life when my life used to really suck, right? And this is in the days I used to blame everyone. I used to project, blame everyone. I was not the person I wanted to be. And one day I decided to blame myself. I said, let's try a new concept of blaming myself. Let's see how that goes, right? And I realized that I was the source of 98% of my own problems, right? Realized that very quickly. And I love what you said there, Christina. This is my early 20s, right? One of the biggest things that I found is saying, hang on, if I give, I'm going to get back what I'm going to give, right? And it's funny, I find that to be true almost all the time. If you put out good vibes, you get good vibes back. If you put out bad vibes, you get bad vibe backs. Tell us a bit about that one, Christina, because I know you're a pro on this topic.
Well, and saying that, Ed, that's not always true. We don't, we can give out a lot of good, and we can get some negative, we can get some negativity back. But for the most part, don't continue doing good for that aspect, because there's going to be just haters and people everywhere, but really, just that, Ed, giving is, it's a key motivator and factor in my daily life. And it just to see joy in others it brings me a lot of happiness.
Oh, thank you. And you said the H word, not happiness. You said the H word. What is it? Haters. Oh, there we go. I love haters. Haters will be haters. Before we bounce to Simone Lord, Christina, tell us what haters are, and tell us how do we manage haters, because we all have to deal with haters in our life. Tell us what haters are, Christina.
Yeah, I think it's just what we talked about earlier. Basically, they're just people that are really, really unhappy and bored, and they find a little reprieve in their lives by putting others down and bringing negativity to the table, which is not healthy, wealthy, or wise.
This is what we stand for. Christina, love your work. We'll bounce back to you in a minute, talk about what you do. Let's bounce over to Simone Lord. Simone Lord, can we please get a closing monologue from you on healthy, wealthy, and wise?
Yeah, just before I do, going to the haters subject, there's a great book called Hug Your Haters by Jay Baer. And it's a fantastic book on how to actually overcome if you've got people commenting or haters online, or whether you're dealing with them in your workplace or in your business. Fantastic read for anyone who's looking to kill people with kindness in that hatred subject. So, which really grinds them even more. So it's such a great place to be in when you can kill haters with kindness, which is really cool.
And you see that on TV, a lot of smart politicians or speakers, you'll have like the politician doing their thing and someone screams at them, and on camera they're really nice to the hater to make the hater look bad. It's kind of like that sort of trick almost, isn't it?
Yeah, and especially in a social media context, you can actually use that to your advantage, and it gives you so much more leverage, or it actually activates your profile even more. So it's not always a bad thing.
There we go. But haters, toxic people, all the, Edward Zia, I'm always attracted to all the darker stuff. So keep it all light, Simone. Please give us a closing monologue that doesn't make me rant about toxic people for 2 hours.
Yeah, look, I think, like I mentioned before, health, wealth, and wisdom it's a continual cycle of life. And it's okay to transition through these different things at different times. Sometimes your health might be more of a higher priority, and that means that your wealth takes a little bit of a punch because of that. You learn the lessons from that, and then you readjust to where you want to be, ultimately creating freedom, which is what we're all striving to do. And that means something different to all of us. And we're all wanting to find it in our own unique way, and being okay with that, understanding that it is an evolution of a journey, and just going with the flow. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Love it. And Amanda Tremor left a great comment as well that I'm reading off here, saying, being nice to the haters drive them nuts. I agree. Yeah. So what we're doing is we're actually in the process of finishing up, everyone. If you've just come in, please smash that like, share, and comment. If you want to make any points, put them in now. If you're watching the recording as well, please get in touch with us anytime. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go a bit into promotional mode now, and we're just going to talk to a bit about Christina Nava, about what she does and how she can help you, and Simone Lord. Christina Nava, business-wise, tell us what you do and how do you help people, and tell us a bit about how awesome you are.
Thank you so much. So we are building a recreation center for autistic children and families that is strictly recreational, no therapy involved. But at the same time, the children will be developing cognitive skills and enhancing their social skills, which will be beneficial to them. It will always also provide a place for families to unite, which across the globe is essentially what parents want to do when you have a special needs child, is just speak to other families going through the same thing. But what I do on a personal level is go into people's homes remotely and do video visits of what that family might be going through, and develop a strategic plan on what they can do if they're going through feeding strategies, feeding issues, sleeping issues, behavioral, or even sensory needs. So we'll develop a plan to help that family and child get to where they want to be for the child's overall wellness and family wellness.
Wow. As someone being neurodivergent myself, I love it, Christina. And of course, people can get in contact with you via Legendary LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
Oh, Christina, we love you and appreciate you. Simone Lord, please tell us all about you professionally and business-wise. How do you help people and the wonderful world around you?
Yeah, well, as many people know, it's the many hats that I have, isn't it? So first and foremost is always about who I am as a person, because I feel that leading by demonstration is so important. So you'll always see me advocating for health and wellness and managing life in general when you have a busy family. My main focus is stepping into a new role that I have as general manager for Christian Lavolsi and Adrian Lee for their group of companies. So that'll be something that'll be launching over the next couple of weeks, and you'll see some massive changes in my LinkedIn profile and things like that as I transition into this new phase. So you'll also still see me advocate for health and wellness. However, it's not something that I will be focusing on right now for where I'm at. So what we look to do inside of our programs with Christian and Adrian is really helping business owners in all aspects, whether you need assistance with marketing and sales. We have a course that we offer and a membership that comes with both online support and practical things to help you in LinkedIn mostly, but in social media in general. And then we also have higher level programs, what we call a mastermind, where we help you strategically in frameworks of your business to create more wealth. So So that's what we're mostly about, is helping business owners find the right people to surround themselves with that can help you with the lessons. So you don't have to make all the mistakes yourself. You can learn from other people's lessons and create more wealth and in turn be happier and healthier.
Oh, very good. I want to ask you as well, Simone Lord, isn't Christina Neighbour really cool? Tell me why you think Christina Neighbour is very cool. So
It's amazing. I actually, my corporate background in finance and accounting was in the disability sector. So I feel like I could talk to Christina a lot about things like that. And I'm really not sure if they have something like that here in Australia. So that would be really interesting to see if the model you're creating, Christina, is something that could be done internationally. So I've already moved to my business strategic mind on how could we get Christina's product to be global, which would be really interesting. I care deeply about the NDIS that we have here in Australia, and that's a whole conversation in itself on whether you support it or you're against it. However, it is something that I still work within. Some of my fitness clients do have NDIS funding, so I help and assist with some of that sort of stuff. So yeah, it'd be interesting, Christina, to see if you can bring that internationally, because I think there's definitely scope for things like that over here in Australia.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I have high hopes that it absolutely will be international. I'll send you the business plan, Simone.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And just before we finish up, Christina Neighbour, why do you think Simone Lord is very awesome? Tell us what you think about Simone Lord, Christina Neighbour.
Well, she's a pretty cool cat. So I saw her on LinkedIn before I even got involved with the group she's speaking of earlier and yourself. And I thought, oh, she looks really cool. She had these breakfast meals and healthy meals. And she talked about being a COP family, which I think is very cool. And she's very organized and she has good boundaries. You know, she has good boundaries, and she's a good teacher, and she will keep you accountable.
The funny thing is, again, I don't want to get too political, but in Australia, we had the biggest lockdowns in the world. Our lockdowns were the longest and the craziest. And I remember Simone Lord during that worked out and turned into Sarah Connor. And during that, I ate heaps and George turned into George Costanza. So there we go. It was really, really good.
Thank you, Christina, for those beautiful comments. I appreciate that.
Pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you as well, Simone.
Pleasure. Well, coming towards the end, we've got Faithie's come in. Faithie Greaves, one of our great friends. She says, thank you, Christina and Simone, for your wisdom and time and everything this morning. And thank you. It's an honor having you with us. Just in closing, please connect with Christina Neighbour and Simone Lord, amazing ladies who are very incredible. Make sure you connect with them. And also, too, please smash that like, share, and comment. I just want to say I appreciate you, winners. And thank you, Fern Walcott, and thank you, everyone. So on behalf of Christina, Simone, Lassie, and myself, have a great day, everyone. Love your work all, and take care.